34 after, let me just review some of the disgusting things that have come out of this woman's mouth. And in spite of the disgusting things that have come out of this woman's mouth, she is still an invited guest on morning show programs that typically women watch with their children when they're getting them ready for school, or families are getting ready for work. She has been invited on political talk shows of note. She has been invited on, to endorse candidates. I mean, she has written books, and people buy them thinking that she is somebody that is worth listening to. Listen to the stuff that comes out of this woman's mouth, and then say to yourself, should she be writing books, or should she be writing on bathroom walls?
Oh, and I was going to have a few comments on the other Democratic presidential candidate, John Edwards, but it turns out that you have to go into rehab if you use the word faggot.
You shouldn't be casting aspersions on somebody's sexuality when your own is so nebulous, Ann. No one knows what the deal is, and you know what? No one wants to know. But I think she thinks the long blonde hair and the bulimic quality of the skinniness makes her more feminine. Honey, you look like Fabio with bulimia. She crossed her legs yesterday, and I swear to God, I saw skin hanging from the bone because there's something seriously wrong, and she needs help. She needs help, and somebody really ought to extend her a helping hand. Now, I would, but I use both, so I can spare a finger, is what I can give. Here's another lovely example of Ann Coulter's restroom wall writing.
Ann, when you write a book called Godless, about which you're talking about liberals, isn't that divisive?
Right, unlike a guy running for president, making that little speech in a church in order to advance his nomination to be the Democrat presidential nominee.
Oh, it's only Republicans going to talk in churches, right?
No, but I do think anyone named B. Hussein Obama should avoid using hijack and religion in the same sentence.
So in other words, you want to paint him as a terrorist by continuing to highlight that his middle name is Hussein.
Avoid those two together.
So in other words, only you can talk like that. Only conservatives, someone whose middle name is Hussein, should not talk like that.
Avoid hijack and religion.
I see.
And they put her next to Alan Combs, which makes her look even more macho, I gotta tell you. It's like overkill. And then the most psychotic thing I've ever heard anybody say on national television with regard to a senator, with regard to a presidential candidate, this was an all-time low. I think this is why Elizabeth Edwards had it with the level of discourse when Miss Coulter said this on Good Morning America.
Let's take a look at what's running on the John Edwards website right now. It has to do with what you said yesterday in the morning on a morning TV show.
Oh, good. I love to be reminded. So I've learned my lesson. If I'm going to say anything about John Edwards in the future, I'll just wish he had been killed in a terrorist assassination plot.
How do we read that?
Well, that's a very weird quote to run since the prior sentence...
They ran it. They're running it right now. You're a poster girl for the Edwards campaign now. They're raising money on you.
Well, I'm raising money on him. And from what I've read, I'm raising more money than he is.
I don't know which I'm angrier about, Chris Matthews' reaction. How do I read that? Hey, they're raising money off you, Ann. Or Ann Coulter trying to top herself by wishing death on a presidential candidate. I don't know what's next for her. Throwing poo into the audience like a zoo gorilla? I really don't know how she tops this. I really don't. I mean, the idea that she would say she wished death on somebody, let alone somebody who has served as a senator and now is trying to get you to, say, consider me for president. Well, that she would go that low and wish death on somebody that she has called the F word. And what is the F word? Is it, if it's a man who is sexually attracted to other men in fourth grade parlance, then that would include any guy who has the hots for Ann Coulter. So I don't even understand what her thing is, but wishing death, which, first of all, there's always the possibility that we could be hit with another terrorist attack as long as George Bush is president. But I really do think that Ann Man gets a sexual thrill out of saying shocking things, and that because she says shocking things, they put her on the TV. It's almost as if they've learned nothing from the Don Imus debacle, where MSNBC tried to have clean hands and came forward and told you, well, you know, we won't let this kind of stuff go on our air, on our morning shows, and so we fired him and we're not carrying his program any longer. Remember MSNBC? No, we had a sort of come to Jesus meeting, and we decided that this is not the kind of fare that we want to present to our... But then they invite Ann Coulter on the evening shows, and Good Morning America invites her on the morning shows, where she says she wishes John Edwards would get killed in a terrorist attack. I find this very disingenuous, NBC. I find this very disingenuous, Good Morning America. Good morning! Wake up and smell the Ann Coulter. That's what stinks there. The funny smell you got there in the kitchen, it's not somebody's lunch from last week. It's Ann Coulter's stench. Why does she smell? It's her soul rotting.